In this video we'll talk about equations, kind of on a very introductory level, and we'll just talk about how to solve simple linear equations. So let's start by talking about what an equation is, and more importantly how it relates to an expression. So an equation is, in a lot of math textbooks they define it as a sentence, and I'm not so much a believer in that. What I believe in is that you have an expression that is equal to another expression. And using this sign between two expressions, this makes an equation. So the useful parts about equations is that we can use them to solve for values that we don't otherwise know. Or we can express equalities that we do know. So, for starters, let's take a look at this example. We have 2x plus 1 equals 7. Now, we've talked about order of operations. We know how to do those things if we're talking about simplifying an expression. But how do we solve for x? And that's where you follow order of operations kind of backwards. Because basically you're undoing things. You want to find what x is. So I took a number, let's call it x. I multiplied it by 2, and then I added 1, and I got 7. So I have to think, okay, what was the last thing I did to x? Well, that would be this adding 1. How do I undo adding 1? Well, subtracting 1. So subtract 1 from both sides. That leaves me just the 2x on the left side. And 7 minus 1 is 6. So now I have to ask myself, okay, I take a number, x, times 2, and I get 6. How do I undo that? Well, undo multiplication with division. I'm going to divide both sides of the equation by 2. And I can do those things because I'm just maintaining the equality. If I subtract the same thing from both sides, I can still maintain the equality. If I divide both sides by 2, I'm still maintaining the equality. So as long as you're consistent, you're doing the same thing to both sides of the equation, everything is going to be fine. Still hold true. So ultimately, my solution is x has to be 3. And if I had any doubt of that, I can always plug it back in and evaluate the expression and see if I get 7. If I don't get 7, I did something wrong. If I do get 7, then I know it works. So let's look at a little more of a complicated example. So this one, I have 4x, or no, not 4x, 4 times x plus 3 equals 12. There's technically two approaches you could take here. One approach, I could say, all right, let's multiply everything by 4. Let's distribute in. So I'm going to have 4x plus 12 equals 12. And then I'm following my order of operations backwards. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. So 4x is going to equal 0. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 4 to undo the multiplication by 4. So x is going to equal 0. The other method is I could look at this expression and think, okay, I could get rid of this 4 right off the bat. So divide everything by 4 right from the start. And that would leave me with x plus 3 equals 3. Subtract the 3, and x equals 0. Both methods totally work. It's just a preference on what you like.